We have in our studio today a very special guest, and this is somebody who is very germane to the lives of many Southwest Florida residents, particularly if you live in Cape Coral, which has about 400 miles of navigable waterways. So if you live in Cape Coral, there's a good chance you live on or very close to a canal. And our guest today is Niki Andrews from Williamson Bros. Hey, Niki.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic. So Niki's here to talk about seawalls, docks, lifts, all that kind of stuff, which, as I mentioned, are very, very prevalent in the Cape Coral area particularly. But not just Cape Coral, throughout the area, North Fort Myers, a lot of canals there, right?
Absolutely. We will go anywhere as well.
I figured you would.
I'm ready.
Let's do this thing.
From the studios of the Royal Palm Coast Realtor Association in Fort Myers, Florida, this is the Royal Palmcast, the show about people and things that realtors, homebuyers, and home sellers care about. And now, here's your host, Jim Sanville.
I'm your host, Jim Sanville, as Jerry has already mentioned. Hi, Jerry. How you doing?
Hi, Jim. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, Jerry. How about this weather, huh?
Well, it's typical Florida, but I'd rather have it cool. Today's a muggy. It's going to be rainy tonight.
I'll take it. My friends up in Maine in the Northeast are having a nice snowstorm today, so I will take this any day of the week. And anyway, we are back here in the studio. We actually moved to a new studio here in our Winkler Avenue headquarters of the Royal Palm Coast Realtor Association, and we're happy to be here. It looks bright and cheery. I wish you could see it, folks. And we have in our studio today a very special guest, Niki Andrews from Williamson Bros. Hey, Niki.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Niki, to get started. Where are you from? How did you happen to get into this line of work? And what exactly do you do for Williamson?
Sure. I am originally from North Carolina, eastern North Carolina, near the coast. And I moved down in 2006, right before Hurricane Charlie. And I've been here ever since, kind of settled in, had my family here, have 2 daughters that can now claim they are true Florida residents, which is a rare thing nowadays. But I got involved in this line of work because, believe it or not, I met the owner of the company when I was working in a retail location, and I was managing his cell phone account. I managed that account for a couple years. We had a great relationship together. He knew my customer service, and that is why I got brought on to work for his company, because he knew that I'd take care of his customers the same way I took care of him.
So you're all about the customer experience, I take it.
I am absolutely about the customer service experience.
That's great. And how long have you been with the company?
I've been with the company about a year.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right, let's get right into it. Let's talk about seawalls. There are all kinds of engineered structures out there that are designed to make water bend to the will of the local residents. There are jetties, there are dikes, I read something this morning about something called groins. I never heard of those, did you?
No, sir.
I don't know what that is. You'll have to Google that, folks. But in any event, your specialty is seawalls.
Absolutely.
Do you do any other engineered structures that hold back water?
I mean, you've got riprap as well, which is just loose rocks along the shoreline to make sure you hold the dirt into the yard. But most prevalent in this area are seawalls.
Okay. Riprap, not to be confused with our sister podcast, Realtor Riff Rap, which is a whole different thing. So, riprap. All right. So tell me about seawalls. What do realtors need to know when they're showing a house,
Sure.
when they're listing a house that has a seawall? What are the important considerations?
To me, one of the most important considerations is how old is that seawall. So the average lifespan of a seawall is about 50 years. Some do last 30, some last 70, and you just never know because none of us have that crystal ball to look into the future. So you can see when a permit was pulled on LIPA before.
LIPA?
Yep.
What is that?
Lee County Property Appraiser's website.
Oh.
So it's lipa.org. You can go in and look at when a permit was pulled. And if a seawall is already 60, 70 years old, then you pretty much know that it's probably nearing its lifespan if it hasn't already had some problems.
I'm going to guess that you have seen some seawalls where the owner thought, I can get another year or 10 out of this, and it looks okay to me. Then what happens?
That's the question we always get asked. You know, you can see structural cracks in a seawall all the time. How long will it last? There is no way of telling. One of the things that happened during Hurricane Irma is that a lot of seawalls failed. That's because they already had prior damage. And when there was no pressure holding the wall from the water and all the pressure from the land and the rain behind the wall, it blew a lot of walls out.
So the rain that comes down at the beginning of a hurricane or during a hurricane will saturate the ground.
Absolutely.
On the land side, obviously, of the seawall. And then the low pressure, the extreme low pressure out to sea, combined maybe with a low tide, is just going to suck the water out of the canals, right?
That's what happened with Irma.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a lot of seawalls failed, miles worth, or?
Yes, there were a lot of seawalls that failed during Hurricane Irma, which is why we now have the discussion, do changes need to be made to seawall construction?
Yeah, what's going on with that? And Cape Coral has something under consideration, correct?
There's absolutely something under consideration in Cape Coral. We have not heard anything definite as of yet. They do want to try and engineer the walls differently, get a deeper penetration on the panels that go down into the ground, have stainless steel included in those, have an engineer oversee the whole thing, the whole process.
So specifically, do you know what kind of changes could be expected?
Specifically, not at the moment,
huh?
Other than they wanting stainless steel, which is, you know, they want a bigger cap, which Williamson Bros already does already.
Yeah. A cap is just the piece that sits on top of the panels, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. Is it a single piece or is it broken up?
It's poured in sections. Usually it's one continuous piece for a certain amount of linear footage, and then they'll break it up, and then it's a separate piece.
And are there some sort of tie-back rods going into the grass?
You did your homework. Good job.
I'm just guessing. If I design a seawall, I would put tiebacks.
Yes.
Is this true?
Absolutely. Code says every 10 feet.
Every 10 feet. Now, was that the case in 1958, 60, when Cape Coral started within the seawall business?
Well, there wasn't as many permits and inspections during that time period, so there were some things that were gotten away with that probably would not fly in today's time.
So corners may have been cut.
May have been.
Back in the day. All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, maybe the statute of limitations has expired on those. But would you expect to see a permit from a 62 seawall?
They'd probably have to go and dig, and there may not be one.
Huh.
And, you know, there are definitely some walls, like out in St. James City, that are cinder blocks that they poured concrete through. There's asbestos walls that are still around. Yeah.
Why would people use asbestos?
Because it'll last a long time.
Oh, okay. I'll buy that. Plus, it didn't burn, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, are there kind of a universal standard around seawall construction?
Absolutely. Today there is. Yes.
Who sets that? The federal government? Or?
Quite honestly, I don't know that answer off the top of my head. I know we have codes that we have to go by with Lee County. Mm-hmm. Collier County is a little bit different. Charlotte County is a little bit different. But in Lee County, we have to have a 40% penetration on our panels. Most of Cape Coral has 8-foot panels, okay? So that means I have to have 3.2 feet of that panel in the ground when I'm setting those
penetration
panels.
means down into the ground. Okay.
Absolutely.
Huh. And you put piles in for docks as well.
Yes.
How far down do those have to go?
We try to get as much penetration on those as we can. We don't ever want anybody's dock floating away. So we have several barges that will pound those in as deep as they'll go.
Which is typically how much?
You know, we're looking for about 6 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in that.
What is the what is on the bottom of the canals? What sort of material is there?
Different parts of different canals are different. Up in the northwest and the northeast, you can get into a lot of rock. We have had
solid rock, like
granite
kind of thing.
I'm not going to say it was granite, but we had to bring in additional heavy equipment to be able to get the penetration in those panels. So yeah, I mean, it does depend. Down in the south, it's a little bit easier. There's not as much rock in the southwest and the southeast, but up in the northwest and the northeast, it can be pretty rocky.
Now, these canals were all obviously man-made. Shortly after the Rosen brothers started selling real estate in Cape Coral, right? Did they have all 400 miles dug at the initial stages of the project, or don't you know?
I don't know that answer.
But so if it's 400 miles of navigable canals in Cape Coral, that means 800 miles of seawall, right?
Yeah.
If my math is correct, Jerry, can you back me up on that?
Because it's both sides.
Sounds accurate.
Carry that
Sounds
far.
accurate.
Okay, yeah, 800 miles is what I'm getting. That's a lot of seawall for you to maintain. How much of it is in great shape now versus really needs to be replaced versus could go either way?
That's going to go back to how old some of those seawalls are, and I don't know the exact answer to that.
Let me ask another way. Are you busier than you can handle right now, or is what's the work situation? Is there enough work for you?
I would love to say that we are blessed and very fortunate, but we would always like to bless others and give them a lifetime structural warranty on our seawall. So I can never get enough business.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, I'm sure you'll have plenty of it in the coming years. How often, we talked earlier about hurricanes and what they can do to a seawall and how the low tide can impact the structural integrity of the wall. How about during the normal tidal action? How much tidal action do we get here in Southwest Florida? How many feet?
It depends. I mean, we've had some king tides lately where they've gone up to the very top of people's caps, and I've got situations where their concrete cantilever, which is that concrete pad that kind of hangs out over the water.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Ends up underwater during really high tides, and that makes it non-usable. So we'll try and deck that over and do it in composite material as well, so that way it's a more usable space and you're not in standing water.
It strikes me that those cantilevers, which you tend to see, I think, on older
yes, it
docks,
is older.
Those probably go first, right?
They absolutely do. In fact, we don't even do those any longer.
Yeah.
Our company personally, and it is outdated technology because that piece just hangs over the water. You always get that crack in it. It's very hard to make those things look nice and appealing to the eye, so to speak. So we don't even do those. You
mentioned before that seawalls have a life expectancy of generally around 50 years, more or less.
Give or take.
The ones that you're building now, they must be of superior integrity. Do the ones that are built now, do they last longer than 50 years?
Absolutely. We are the only company that offers a lifetime structural warranty on our seawalls. Okay,
for the lifetime of the owner.
That is correct.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to guess they're good and strong. We hope so anyway. But you don't see new seawalls failing in Cape Coral. I haven't anyway. So I guess you guys are doing it right.
We try to, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you're building, let's say a homeowner calls you up in Cape Coral or wherever and says, "Look, I need some new seawall put in," and they're wedged in a neighborhood where there's house on both sides. Where are you staging your equipment? How does that work?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question, and one that Jimmy's definitely brought up. We need vacant lots in order to stage some of our projects. And the company is willing to pay homeowners for the use of those vacant lots. I need more of them down in the southeast, especially just because that area is more built up. So if there's anybody out there that has a vacant lot that we could use for staging, we are willing to pay them for the use of that.
So somebody who's listening right now could call you folks up and say, even if they're not looking for a seawall, they've got a vacant lot. And
absolutely.
They want a little change.
Yep, we posted it on Facebook, just trying to get the word out. It is something Jimmy's spoken to the city about even using city land. Because if we've got somewhere close by that we can stage our jobs from, that helps with logistics and keeps the cost down for the people who are purchasing.
Has the city been cooperative and forthcoming with opportunities for you to use their land?
I have not heard back from that yet. That would be a question for Jimmy.
That's
Absolutely.
a Jimmy thing. Okay,
yeah.
We'll keep that in mind if we run into him. All right. And you know what else I want to ask you about? Our docks. That's a big part of what you do. That's kind of the sexy part, right? The seawalls are the foundation.
They're the utilitarian.
Yeah. But everyone wants a dock with tiki huts and boat lifts with canopies and all that stuff. What do you most commonly work with? What do you build normally? What's a standard setup?
It just depends on the client and what they want. I'm going to tell you, I absolutely love extending that living space outside for someone. It's one of my favorite things to do because you're right. That's the fun part. Nobody wants to pay for a new seawall if they don't have to. But everybody would love to have a beautiful outdoor living space that they can use and is functional for their boat as well. So I'm going to say, you get anywhere in between $15,000 all the way up to $80,000, depending on what somebody wants for their dock.
No, I'm sure that the city regulates how far out into the canal you can go. Obviously, you don't want to impede navigation.
That's right.
What is it on a like a 200-foot canal in Cape Coral?
25%.
You can go out, so that would be 50 feet. My math work out there, Jerry?
It would not be 50 feet on a 200-foot. They would not allow us to do that.
Not 50 feet.
But it's 25% of like a normal 80-foot canal or 100-foot canal. If, like on the river, I need to go out a little bit further, I can get to deeper water. They give us the clearance to do that, like in the southeast part of the Cape. If I am somewhere like on a freshwater lake, like let's say Lake Finister, which I used to live on, and I've got a max projection, I could do usually about 40 foot, 30 foot, somewhere in there.
That's a good long dock.
It is. Yeah. It's bigger than most people would want. So, they still keep it so you can have that area out there in the middle to navigate. So if I've got a 200-foot canal, they're not going to give me that 25%. They're going to limit that.
I can tell by the music that I hear in my head that we have a break coming up. So we are, once again, we're talking with Niki Andrews from Williamson Bros. We're talking seawalls, docks, lifts, tiki huts even, and we'll get into that more after the break. But right now we're going to take a brief pause, and we'll be right back.
We hope you're enjoying the Royal Palmcast, a production of the Royal Palm Coast Realtor Association, your association for realtor services, resources, and education. We are committed to the success of all of our members and advocate for property rights, both residential and commercial, as we continue our efforts in participating and influencing public policy on local, state, and national levels. Your association also leads the way with community involvement, member engagement, promoting the use of local, state, and national benefits, and more, all of which helps provide a superior realtor experience. With 3 locations in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and South Fort Myers, the staff of RPCRA is here for you. Visit our website at rpcra.org and make sure to find us on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media for valuable information on upcoming classes and events. Now back to Jim Sanville and the Royal Palmcast.
Hi, I'm Jason Jacobs, and you're listening to the Royal Palmcast.
Hi, I'm Jennifer DeRocher, and you're listening to the Royal Palmcast.
Hi, I'm Bill Risser, and you're listening to the Royal Palmcast with Jim and Jerry. This place is amazing.
Welcome back to the Royal Palmcast. I'm Jim Sanville. We are talking today with Niki Andrews. Niki works for Williamson Bros. In Cape Coral, and we're talking about seawalls, lifts, docks, tiki huts, all that cool stuff. Where in Cape Coral, those are very popular items, given that they have 400 miles of navigable canals. I don't know how many non-navigable canals there are in Cape Coral, but maybe a few.
Try to say that 3 times in a row.
Exactly, Jerry. I'm going to be working on that before our next podcast episode. So, Niki, back to you. I have a couple of other questions that I thought of while we were taking a quick break there.
Sure.
One is, I'm going to guess, you tell me if I'm wrong, I'm going to guess that there are some people who say, I want to buy a dock. You go to their house and assess the situation. Mm-hmm. You say, sure, I'd love to build you a dock, but your seawall is crumbling and you don't want to be putting in a dock. Does this happen where people say, no, go ahead, just build the dock, I'll take my chances on the existing seawall, and then it fails?
I have run into that, yes. I've had some people tell me, as sad as it sounds, that they don't plan on living that long.
Really?
And
let the next guy worry about it. Huh?
Yeah, let the next guy worry about it. And what I will say is that if we know that the seawall was not in good condition, we definitely let the homeowner know that. We will put a disclaimer in that agreement or the proposal that we write up for them saying, hey, we've noticed some problems with the seawall. We are putting this in writing to make sure you also acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm having a new dock built at my house in anywhere on a canal, how many lifts am I allowed by city regulation in Cape Coral, for example? How many lifts am I allowed?
Sure. Residential, 3 lifts.
3 lifts, no matter how much frontage I have?
No matter how much frontage you have.
Okay.
Even just 1 cover. So even if you had 3 lifts, you couldn't have but 1 canopy.
1 canopy? And it can only cover the 1 lift.
That's correct.
You can have 1 big canopy that covers everything.
That would be interesting. Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. There might be a square footage issue on that one.
Maybe that's a workaround for you. I don't know. So would it be okay if I have 3 lifts? I've got 1 boat. Could I rent out the other 2 lifts?
Yeah, absolutely. People do it all the time.
What's kind of the going rate around, for example, Southeast Cape Coral?
Depending on your bridges, depending on how close you are to open water, it really is supply and demand. I'm going to say that the most common lift that's out there is about a 10K lift. So that would accommodate the majority of the boats that we see here in Cape Coral. Not all by any means.
But in terms of renting, if I want to rent one out, how much could I get?
$300, $250,
$300
$3, somewhere in there. It really does depend on the market and how close you are and all the bells and whistles.
Yeah. Do all the boats, and some of the boats sit in the water all the time, right?
Some boats do.
What's the disadvantage of that? Why do you want to lift?
The lift keeps the bottom of the boat clean, and then that way you don't have to continuously do maintenance on the bottom of your boat.
Clean from what?
Well, we live in salt water. Uh-huh. So even in fresh water, algae will grow on the bottom of that boat. Salt water, you'll get barnacles and oysters if it sits for too long.
Oysters.
Yeah. So, you don't want that happening to your brand new boat.
Yeah.
And nobody likes to go out there and scrape stuff off either.
No fun at all. All right, Niki, I think it has come to my favorite part of the program. This is where we really, really get to know you. And this is called the lightning round. I don't know how familiar you are with this, but I have a lot of fun with it, and I know Jerry enjoys it too. And to begin the lightning round, Jerry is going to hand me the official game show host 3x5 cards that contain the questions for today's lightning round.
Okay.
And these have been sequestered away in a super box in Lehigh Acres since last Tuesday.
Sweet.
So we went out this morning and got them on the way to work, and Jerry's got them now. Jerry, may I have the cards?
Yeah, let me get these for you, Jim.
Thank you, Jerry.
We are also on video.
Appreciate
so
that.
Just remember.
I like the cards. Yep. All right, there they are. All right, lightning round. And now what we're looking for here, Niki, are soundbite answers, just quick in 1, 2, 5 words. All right?
Okay.
This is going to go fast. It's the lightning round. That's why we call it the lightning round, because it's boom, 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 quick hit. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions. You give me your response. When's the last time you saw snow?
When's the last time I saw snow? 2009.
Where?
North Carolina.
Ah, okay. Where would you live if not in Florida?
I live in the best place possible. I've been to every state in the country except Alaska, and I live here.
Wow, that says a lot, doesn't it? All right, next question. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dog person, all right. This one's multiple choice, Niki. You guys, yous, or y'all?
Y'all.
That's what I thought. I thought y'all would say that. All right, what's your go-to social media platform?
Facebook.
All right, that's a big favorite, along with Instagram. All right, your guilty pleasure?
Sleeping.
Good one. Now tell me about some of your favorite things, Niki, your favorite TV show.
Right now, Outlander.
Outlander. All right, that's strong. Movie?
Tombstone.
Food?
Steak.
Day of the week?
Sunday.
Ah, that's a good one. When your favorite breakfast food?
Oatmeal.
Your favorite car?
Toyota 4Runner.
Ooh, do you have one of those?
I do.
All right, that's why it's your favorite. All right, your favorite book?
Reading the Outlander series at the moment.
Nice. Favorite holiday?
Halloween.
And your favorite form of recreation?
It would have to be horseback riding and boating.
Okay, we're zipping right through these. Just a couple of questions left, Nikki. Changing the subject here. Socks with sandals, yes or no?
Heck no.
No. People are very strong either way, either side of that one, I've noticed. Who's your personal hero?
Elizabeth Dole.
Do you do any imitations?
No.
Okay. All right, I hold in my hand our last lightning round question, and here it is. Let me make sure I get it kind of stuck to the other. There we go. All right, you get one bucket list item. Nikki, what is it?
Scuba dive the Great Barrier Reef.
Strong, down under, huh? Nice. All right. Thank you very much for playing along in our lightning round. Once again, folks, we are talking with Niki Andrews. I'm Jim Sanville, along with Jerry Johnson here in the RPCRA studios in beautiful Fort Myers. And you're listening to the Royal Podcast. We are going to say goodbye to Nikki now, sadly. Nikki, how can people get in touch with you if they want to talk more about this subject?
Sure. The best way to get in touch with me is my personal cell phone number. You can call or text. Phone number is 239-994-8723.
8723. Thank you, Nikki.
All right, thank you.
All right. And the music that I'm hearing tells me that we have come to the very, very end of our show. And I want to remind you again that the Royal Palmcast is the show to listen to about all things real estate. We talk about things that realtors, home buyers, and home sellers care about. And I want to thank Nikki and all of the fine folks here at RPCRA at the Realtor Association for their support, including Jerry Johnson.
You're welcome, Jim.
Beata Jones, our CEO, and the whole staff here. Everyone is great. And be sure to check out our other podcast, Realtor Riff Rap. That's with host Nick Bagelis. And, of course, our YouTube video series, Realtor's Corner, with Nick and Joanna Rao. In fact, they were in here yesterday shooting an episode. We're looking forward to that new one.
Yeah, very first episode of Realtor's Corner.
That's right. The very first one for this season in the studio. This is season 2, and Susan Milner's part of the show as well. And so thanks for listening, everybody. We will look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thanks for listening to the Royal Palmcast. Tune in again for more episodes and make sure to check out our sister podcast, Realtor Riff Rap, and our video news show, Realtor's Corner, which can be found on the Royal Palm Coast Realtor Association Facebook page and YouTube channel. Sponsorship opportunities for these programs and more coming soon. So stay connected with RPCRA and stay tuned. This has been a production of the Royal Palm Coast Realtor Association.